My dear Aquarius, let's have an honest conversation about your weaknesses. Not the kind of conversation that flatters you, because you're too smart for that anyway. The kind that actually gets somewhere. You of all signs understand that self-awareness isn't a soft skill. It's an advantage. You've spent a good portion of your life analyzing other people, systems, and societies. It's time to turn that same clear-eyed attention inward. Every sign carries patterns that quietly work against them. Yours tend to hide behind intelligence. They dress up as principles. They sound so reasonable that you almost can't see them. Almost. The first pattern worth examining is emotional detachment. Aquarius is an air sign, and air signs process the world through thought rather than feeling. Add to that the influence of Saturn, one of your traditional ruling planets, which is associated with distance and control, and you get a person who is genuinely more comfortable analyzing an emotion than actually feeling it. You observe your own inner life from a slight remove, like a scientist watching an experiment through glass. This isn't coldness exactly. It's a coping mechanism that became a default setting. The recognizable version of this looks like someone close to you is upset, and instead of sitting with them in the discomfort, you immediately start problem solving. You offer 3 logical solutions before they've finished their second sentence. They don't feel heard. You don't understand why, because you were clearly trying to help. The gap between those 2 experiences is where the detachment lives. This is what you can do. The next time someone comes to you with a problem, set a timer on your phone for 2 minutes. For those 2 minutes, you only ask questions. You offer nothing. No fixes, no reframes, no silver linings. Just questions. When the timer ends, ask them if they want your thoughts before you share them. The second pattern is contrarianism. Uranus, your modern ruling planet, is associated with rebellion, disruption, and the instinct to challenge whatever is considered normal or established. That impulse has produced some of history's most original thinkers. It has also produced a habit, in you specifically, of disagreeing almost reflexively. If everyone is moving left, something in you wants to go right. Not always because right is better. Sometimes just because left feels too crowded. You've developed an identity around being different, and that identity can trap you. You start defending positions not because you believe them fully, but because agreeing feels like surrendering your individuality. A moment you'll recognize, someone makes a perfectly reasonable point in a group conversation. It's a good point. You know it's a good point. But something in you searches for the counterargument anyway, and you find one, and you lead with it, and the conversation gets longer and more complicated than it needed to be. Here is the shift. For 1 week, keep a tally. Every time you take a contrarian position in conversation, make a small mark. At the end of the week, go back through and honestly ask which of those positions you actually held and which ones you were performing. The act of tracking it will change the behavior faster than any resolution will. The third pattern is a particular kind of stubbornness that Aquarius doesn't always recognize as stubbornness. You're a fixed sign. Fixed signs are built for persistence and follow-through, which are genuine strengths. But the shadow of fixed energy is an attachment to being right that can outlast the evidence. You don't dig in your heels loudly, the way some signs do. You do it quietly. You simply stop engaging. You've already decided, and new information is processed through that decision rather than against it. This is different from Capricorn's rigidity, which is about method. Yours is about conclusion. You can change your approach all day long, but changing your mind about a fundamental belief is a much heavier lift. The example here is interpersonal. Someone who knows you well points out a pattern in your behavior. Something true and specific. You listen. You appear to consider it. You say, "I hear you." And then you do exactly the same thing 6 weeks later, having quietly filed their observation under their perspective, not fact. This is what you can do. The next time someone offers you a critique that you instinctively want to dismiss, write it down word for word. Put it somewhere you'll see it for 30 days. You don't have to agree with it yet. Just keep it visible. Let it have a fair trial before you close the case. The fourth pattern is intellectual superiority. This one takes courage to look at, so stay with it. Aquarius carries a genuine love of ideas, systems, and knowledge. That's real and it's beautiful. But it can tip, quietly and almost imperceptibly into a belief that you simply think better than most people. Not that you know more about a specific topic. That you think better, more clearly, more originally, more correctly. And when that belief takes hold, other people stop being conversation partners and start being audiences. You stop being curious about what someone thinks and start waiting for them to finish, so you can explain the fuller picture. The version of this that stings a little. Someone shares an idea they're excited about. It's a decent idea. Not groundbreaking, but decent. And instead of engaging with it genuinely, you immediately locate the flaw and you lead with that. Because you can't help it. The flaw is right there. But what lands for them is not helpfulness. What lands is dismissal. This is how you can counter it. In your next 3 conversations about ideas, make it a rule to find something genuinely interesting in what the other person is saying before you add your perspective. Say it out loud, not as a warm-up before you dismantle their argument. Actually mean it. One real thing you found valuable, spoken first. The 5th pattern is a fear of true intimacy. This one sits underneath all the others. Aquarius is devoted to humanity in the abstract. You care about people as a category. You'll fight for a stranger's rights with real conviction. But let one specific person try to get genuinely close to you, and something tightens. Intimacy requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires uncertainty, and uncertainty is uncomfortable for a sign that prefers to understand things. Real closeness means someone sees the parts of you that aren't clever or idealistic or original. It means being known at the ordinary, unimpressive level. And that is genuinely difficult for you. So you keep people slightly at arm's length. You offer depth on your terms, in conversations you control, about topics you've chosen. But the moment a relationship starts requiring more of your inner life than you plan to give, you find reasons to create distance. The recognizable pattern, a friendship or relationship is going well. It's deepening. The other person starts showing up for you in a more personal way. And instead of feeling closer, you start feeling vaguely crowded. You become a little less available. You're not sure why. You like them. You still like them. But something in you quietly starts managing the distance. This is the shift. Identify one person in your life you've been keeping at arm's length. Send them one specific, personal message this week. Not a check-in, not a meme, not a forward. Something true about what's going on in your interior life. One sentence is enough. You don't have to open a floodgate. Just crack a window. So there they are. 5 patterns, all distinctly Aquarian, and all of them completely workable. A detachment that looks like composure, but costs you connection. A contrarianism so practiced it can pass for principle. A fixed certainty that quietly outlasts the evidence. A brilliant mind that sometimes forgets to stay curious about other minds. And an arm's-length relationship with the kind of closeness you actually need. None of these are flaws in your design. They're just places where your strengths have run a little too far past their usefulness. Which one landed the hardest? Was it the timer you've never set in a difficult conversation? The critique you filed away and forgot? The window you haven't cracked for someone who's been waiting? Leave a comment and tell me which weakness hit closest to home. And if this kind of honest, grounded conversation is useful to you, consider subscribing. No flattery, no cosmic promises. Just clear observations and practical next steps, the kind an Aquarius can actually respect. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a blessed day.